This is the first time she said she loved me. I did not want to raise you up with the illusion that, oh, life is going to be perfect. Oh, this is an interesting perspective. But
जिंदगी ना मिलेगी दोबारा.
Nice. What happens when a parent and a teenager stop playing roles and just talk? No filters, no fixing, no distractions. Just real questions, real silences, and a conversation that was long overdue. Between brackets is a space where stories come out, emotions come up, and connections get real. Watch closely, you might learn something about your family or yourself.
What's something you wish I knew about you? Not as my mom, but as a woman.
I always tell you that I'm not your mom. I'm just a human being who's taking care of you. I always say that I'm your caretaker. What I want you to know is I'm elder than you. I have more experience than you. So I don't want you to be getting entangled in whatever I'm doing, which I keep on telling you frequently. Off late, I've been telling you a lot about this. And I don't want you to be getting judgmental about the people I talk to. Every time I'm on the phone, I finish the phone, you can't go asking mom, who was it? Because I work, I talk to so many people, right? So that is, you know this, but then I would really want you to understand this.
Yeah, I want you to have a very social life too, where you can have friends and all. So I just want to try and make, give you an idea. Okay, oh, Sunday, we'll give you some me time and you can go out with this friend or that friend. You can have a one-to-one with this person. You seem to have a good chat before, like that.
And then how do you feel knowing that mama was just talking to practically nobody?
Oh well.
But how would you want it to be? Because these are two different opinions.
Two different opinions.
Yes.
Somewhere being in the supportive mode, I've become too lenient, where I'm not drawing that line very strictly as a mom that you're not supposed to interfere in mom's life until I share it with you. How would you feel if I did that? How comfortable if I drew the line that...
Even I want to know, what's happening with your life, how you're feeling,
But the question is, why do you want to know? Mama tells you everything that mama can share with you, right? So if mama is not sharing something with you...
It's we're a family, we live together. It's like a simple conversation. Of course, I would want to know how your day went. If something new drama happened at your work or something like that.
Drama queen. You always want something.
Of course, I want to know what happened throughout the day, what was interesting in your day, what stood out. It makes us feel more closer that we are sitting together, talking how our day went, who we talked with, what we talked about and everything.
And sometimes if she says that she doesn't want to share, because in friendships that happens too, in supportive systems.
Definitely. I'm like, okay, but why do you not want to tell me? Just tell me that.
Because of late there have been certain incidences in my life which I can handle myself, but the reason I don't want to share it with you is, one, you get too judgmental about it, you get too involved with it, and you kind of take the entire experience to a very conclusive spot, which I don't want you to do. I don't want you to let mama's one or two experiences conclude the finality of what is going to happen to you in your life. That's not fair. That's just mama's experience. And if after so many years, if mama has not concluded, why would I want you to conclude those experiences? Understand? When you see me struggle or break down, what goes inside you that you usually don't express?
There's a lot of anger, a lot of judgment towards the person who put you in that situation. If someone's hurt you, or if someone's acted like a bad person.
I could hear that word coming up without she speaking.
It has been a bad person. You're very judgmental, okay, because a lot of the people you talk with are your own age. So like, as a 40-year-old person, how can you pull off such a childish act? How can you be this level of, like an immature teenager? It feels like that person is moody and has not grown up since like that person was 9 or something. So,
I can see your subtitles even if you don't speak.
Yes, so a lot of anger towards that person too, like, seriously, that's one. And the second thing is, every time I see you crying or hurt, a little part of me also feels very sad to see you in that way. That doesn't mean that you can't be sad with me, but it's just, you can't help it. Okay, I'm so close to you, I love you so much, then it is bound to affect me.
This is the first time she said she loved me.
Yeah.
Again,
if I ask you from 1 to 10, what's your empathy level?
Empathy level.
When it comes to someone who is in a certain kind of relationship or friendship or anything that you are judging that person, so
Okay.
that person itself, what's your empathy level for that?
Usually it's about 8 to 9 because I always try to understand their perspective first after to do. But in some cases, like mom told, if the person does something,
They hurt your mom in some sense, or
so I do first try to understand, but the empathy level goes down.
So in her case, she is more possessive as well as protective. That is where when it comes to mama, all her empathy goes down to actually zero. No matter what happens, even if she gets hurt, 1, she knows to handle herself, 2, she knows to handle her life, and 3, she knows to handle that person also. So if that person is not being very supportive or is not being a very positive or contributing element to mama's life, mama knows at what time to take him out.
can I add a fourth?
Yeah,
And the fourth, that she knows that she can come to you.
exactly.
Yeah, I know it's not in a way that be careful, he'll hurt you again or this. In a very normal way, if a small kid is going to buy some chips and the mother say, "No, just look at the road before you cross." So just like that.
Got your point.
Yeah.
So I think where she is coming from is because for her also this is all a very new experience. Until I won't even say past one, until 6 months back, she was still recovering from whatever has happened so far. So she's still trying to convince her that yes, now life is safe. Now things are going to get better. So the moment I go in a very delicate zone, she starts having that fear of herself. There's a very survival instinct that, what will happen to me if mom goes. So I think she's learning
The
to,
balance of taking a step back rather than
Yes.
always getting in.
yes, she's learning to feel safe now. That even if mama goes into a delicate zone, it is not going to drastically impact my life. I'm still safe even if mama
Because
goes
mama
into-
can save you. Mama knows that she needs to take care of you too.
So now every time you feel insecure, if about mama getting sad or mama breaking down, you can just remind yourself, I'm learning to feel safe, and what mama is feeling does not drastically impact you.
Yeah.
If it does drastically impact you, mama is going to be outright communicative to you about it. Right?
Okay.
So now you can just feel safe even if mama is breaking down. That's fine. It's okay. Mama is a human. She's allowed to break down.
Yeah, you're allowed to break
Without
down.
you getting overly worried about it.
Okay. Do you ever wish I had a little less access to your inner world? Or are you okay with how transparent we are with each other?
Being transparent was a choice I made, honestly, because I wanted you to see me, one, as a human, two, that it's okay. Life will have the good phases also, and life will have the bad phases also. I did not want to raise you up with the illusion that, oh, life is going to be perfect, or I didn't want to raise you up with the heaviness of life, that life is difficult only. So by giving you transparency is the first-hand experience that I can give you about life and the ups and downs of life. And only when you see the ups and downs of life can you build up that emotional resilience, isn't it? That strength to carry on no matter what. Right? As a child, I've always seen you a bit more sensitive to things, the way things happen. So because you are sensitive, I had to build up your emotional muscle as well. So being transparent is a choice that I made. So I'm more than comfortable and I would like it that way. What's one moment you've been proud of how emotionally aware or mature you have become, even if no one noticed?
That incident in school where, I was getting targeted by 4-5 students. I let it slide once, then feed into it. Let it slide twice, then feed into it. Let it slide the third time, then feed into it. Did I lash out back and worse? Yes, but that's not important. Okay, I let it slide until it bubbled me to a breaking point. And I did not lash out because I lost control. I lashed out because I chose. I didn't understand the person, but I just let it slide. It's whatever, it's better to get myself out of this zone instead of trying to fix the zone by itself.
So lashing out is also fine as long as you're aware that this is triggering me and now I'm lashing it out.
They deserve a lashing out.
Nobody
They do.
deserves.
Sometimes people
You cannot decide who deserves what.
You cannot
We
decide.
have spoken so many times. You can't decide who deserves what.
It's fine. You can't decide, but
you deserve to express yourself. That's right.
Yeah, but you also deserve to give a smack to the other person's face if they're doing the same to you.
What have we taught? What have we spoken about it? If one person is repeatedly giving you a certain experience, what have we spoken about it?
Yeah, cut that person out of your life.
No. If an
Oh,
experience
yeah.
is being repeated, if a pattern is being repeated in your life,
Yes.
is it that person's problem or is it your problem?
It's your problem because you're attracting that kind of problem in your life. So there's a problem about you. There's something inside you which keeps on attracting the same energy. So you find that, fix that, heal that, and move
And
on.
that is why my drama queen, you keep on attracting some of the other kind of drama.
If we had a podcast of our own, what would it be called, and who would interrupt more?
If we did a podcast, it's definitely going to be men versus women.
I think it wouldn't be men versus women. I think it would be more of Devanshi Diaries. Like, yeah, my name only, but I'm already doing that.
It wouldn't be really a podcast because Devanshi Diaries is something you just do it your way.
I
You
would
just
be the
record it.
host.
Oh yeah, but would you really want to make it as a podcast and host it?
Of course.
Really?
I mean, I would do a lot of other things too. I would journal also on the podcast sometimes.
But then who will interrupt more? If it's Devanshi Diaries, it's your podcast and you're just doing everything your way. Then there's no person
No.
interrupting.
As in,
So the
I'm
podcast is basically you both being the host.
us both.
So then it's definitely men versus women.
Mm.
And she'll be the one interrupting constantly.
Yeah.
Because
That's
as we say, वो बोलते हैं ना अधूरी गागर ज़्यादा छलकती है. Empty vessels make more noise. Because she has very limited mindset and she has very limited experience about men and women. She wants to keep on jumping to the conclusions based on her experience. And I keep on telling her that if you want to speak about, about behaviors and mindsets, you have to learn to explore more. You're still 15, you have to listen to experts on YouTube. That's the free, most
Neutral
available.
rather than having a side first and then figure out which side is
Exactly.
working well.
Because I work with men, I teach men how to be emotionally comfortable, and the very first question is like, they brought this upon them, why are you helping them?
Then who will then you end up with?
So that is what my son
Yeah.
told her, that because men brought it upon the women, mama is teaching men how to not bring it upon women.
Yeah.
And that is why she finally settled down that, oh, this is an interesting perspective.
Oh, okay.
But otherwise, whenever I ask her help, that I need your help to, we are a team. If you want mama to do well in life, you will have to support mama in some or the other way. And doing it is like, no, I'll do work for you, but I don't believe in you. I don't want to do it.
I never
Because you're doing it for men.
I don't believe in you. Your work, I still don't grasp it. So if you want to target men, then the work she's doing, target emotionally open men who want to, make their lives better, who believe in all of this. Okay, if you're going to not strong as in strong, but rigid businessmen.
You know where does purpose come from?
She says that it's something which is her calling.
How does that calling come? Do you have an idea?
No.
It's mostly what you go through. It makes you realize that your experiences help you understand that this is your calling, and it just clicks. And a lot of times what we do with our purpose, we heal ourselves. So if she actually is working with it, correct me if I'm wrong, but if she is ending up just working with emotionally available men, she's not healing herself.
Okay.
In a lot of ways, when it comes to purpose, for example, me doing this right now, I am healing my teenage self. And I'm openly saying this because this came up in my therapy, in my own reflections and everything, that whatever I am doing in my life today is basically, at least this whole between brackets project that I have, is basically trying to heal my teenage self. And it's a purpose. It was a calling. I never thought that I would be loving working with parents and teenagers. I never thought that. I had this mindset, teenagers ke saath to nahi sakega. This is my reaction, but at the end of the day, now I understand why I am doing this, and that's the thing that I'm trying to say, that if she works with emotionally available men, her own purpose will be like कि हमको कुछ feel नहीं हो रहा कि हम heal हो रहा है at the end of the day. And I think that's, if I'm not wrong, if you want to add something on that.
More or less, I think for me it is more than my own healing. The way I see it is, I understand the importance of the balance because I have not seen that balance. As a child, I wanted that balance. I could not see that balance, is where my calling is coming from. That the imbalance is there because there's a lack of education, lack of awareness of it.
It's coming from your experience at the
My
end of the day.
experience at the end, that there's an imbalance. I have experienced that imbalance. I have experienced the suffering that imbalance creates on the kids. Even I don't believe in interacting with people who don't believe in healing. And what she's trying to
वैसे लोग
say
तो
is,
आएंगे ही नहीं ना आपके पास
exactly
फिर.
what she's trying to say is, don't speak to those men. But then जो लोग open है healing के लिए, I will find those men in a crowd of 100 people. When I interact with those 100 people, will I be able to find out that 1 or 2 or 5 people who are open to healing? But to be able to reach out to those 5 people, I have to speak to these 100 people. No, but I've told her this. I've had this conversation since she was almost 5 or 6 years old. I've always said that do whatever you want in life. Explore hobbies. So as a child, when I was interested in a hobby, and in a month I'll lose my interest and I'll stop wanting to do that hobby. In my growing up years, मैंने बहुत सुना है, you can't stick to one thing. And every time I wanted to do something, I was, very poorly referred to that nature of losing interest. But that does not have to be something bad. I've told her, try whatever you want, but at least give 1 month commitment. Because मैंने 1 महीने की फीस तो वैसे भी भर के रखी है. And it takes time to explore and understand something. You won't know in the very first day.
आज की डेट पे I think even in a fast-paced world, to make a habit, you have to work on that for a while.
Exactly. So at least to understand whether you're able to do it or not, एक बार में पता नहीं चलेगा. Give yourself 1 month time. जो भी explore करना है करो. And then some point in time, when you find this one thing that you're ready to do, मतलब नहीं खाऊंगी तो भी चलेगा, सोऊंगी नहीं तो भी चलेगा, something that you're completely dedicated to, when you come to that point, let me know, and I will do everything in my possible self to push you forward on that path and make it happen. So I think it's a journey for her also and me also about targeting men, finding men who are open to healing. When we shifted to Guwahati, I was just kind of a part of me froze in that moment. Okay, when she said, "Mom, we are going to raise him up to be a exemplary man," and the way she said, "We are going to raise him up," a part of me is frozen in that moment. The way she, took the risk, even though she's being so, yeah. So I was completely.
कुछ और हो ना हो, I think that understanding of self teenage life में नहीं होता है.
नहीं होता.
And if she has that, if he also has it when he's growing up, a lot of things that you're talking about that boys or men end up doing, he might not even do that because
exactly.
the struggle in teenage life is this only कि self identity ही नहीं पता होता, क्योंकि उस समय समझ में आता है कि वो मेरे भी कुछ है जो मेरे को पेरेंट्स के हिसाब से करने की जरूरत नहीं है. And that's where you actually get into a whole confusing state. ये बनूं, ये करूं.
Yeah.
Because you have to have so many labels as a son, as a daughter, as a friend, as a partner, as someone's brother or sister, so many things. And that's the first time you realize that you have to play so many roles in life. ये है, ऐसा है.
The funny part is the moment you start getting into teenage, there's this contradiction you start living, not because it's in you, because it's been given outside from you. Because on one hand you're told you're adult, you're responsible, on the other hand you're told
आप अभी बच्चे हो.
हाँ, आपको कुछ नहीं पता है.
कुछ नहीं पता है.
So I think that is
खुद का choice रहता ही नहीं है ना.
हाँ, so this is one thing I was aware of from a very early age, and I always told myself that I'm not going to do that with my kids, and I think as far as I know, I'm doing that.
I think that the confusion also comes from that contradicting part itself कि मेरे को ये बनना है, मेरे parents को नहीं पता कि मैं कौन हूँ, मैं किससे क्या बनूँ.
Exactly. So she often recently she's got this habit of coming and telling me, "Mom, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life." I'm like, you're a teenager, you're not supposed to know. By the time I knew what I want to do with my life, I was 35. So chill, you're doing fine.
I don't know still, by the way. Because I'm still figuring out life.
One thing I was absolutely clear of, how I'm going to make them feel responsible and how I'm going to make them feel acceptive of authority. So कहाँ पे उनको responsible बनाना है, कहाँ पे उनको बच्चा रखना है, ये दोनों चीजों को कैसे segregate करके रखना है. That is one thing I was always clear about. So I've always made them responsible for the tasks they can take care of by themselves. And then there are tasks they need advice on, and that is where I draw a line that mama knows more than you. What's something I do that makes you feel deeply seen, but you rarely say it out loud?
One thing I would say deeply seen is that there are not moments where she makes me feel deeply seen. She has set an environment where I'm constantly feeling deeply seen or everything. There are a few moments where the environment cracks or something like that. But I feel like you can ask this deeply seen to people maybe who've had a lot of cracks and they have special moments that stand out because they felt deeply seen. But for me, that's 24/7. That is constantly. So it's not a rare moment. It's something that I'm surrounded with constantly. There are times that bubble is even bigger. I would say one of those moments is that I was really excited about Navratri this year, but due to a very popular and influential person passing away, Navratri was cancelled, and I was down because again, I was doing the Navratri fasting too, and I was also like, it was a lot of things to get a lot of things on my plate, and she said that no worries, we'll go on a mini trip to Meghalaya and set everything out. Okay, we'll make up for the missed Navratri and everything. So that was somewhere where the bubble went like much bigger, but usually I'm in that bubble of feeling deeply loved, accepted, open and free 24/7.
A few days back, we were just talking, and I spoke in a derogatory way of a bully I had in my early years. And she just lashed out. Mom, how can you talk like this about somebody? It's like, Mom is a human. I'm allowed to talk derogatory about a person who bullied me. And that's fine. And she was just not ready to accept it. The conversation lasted almost 1.5 hours, 90 minutes. And my son was completely fed. I was like, how much are you people going to go on about this? But then I was glad that I was able to bring her to the point where she could see herself and accept that it is not what you said that hurt me. And that's where the betrayed in quotes comes again and again, is because that's what she said. I said, why is it hurting you so much if I spoke about this way about somebody? Like, I felt betrayed. And
because
that is,
you are not the person that she thinks that you are.
exactly. And that is after a lot of constant probing and coaxing and the push and pull constant that happening, she finally came to a point where she understood herself that it is not what she said that hurt me. It was my story that if mummy is doing this, if this is also one side of mummy, she will become this completely
Conclusive.
Okay. And in that case, how will I adapt to her? So the fear of seeing mom as an unacceptable version as per her, that is what's
It's normal for teenagers also.
being concluded.
So for
Absolutely.
me as well, seeing the point that you start understanding a lot of things happening around in your house is when you become a teenager, because you start getting more aware and your parents are actually including you in everything. And I think it happened with me also, where I was like, Mummy Papa aise bhi kar sakte hain. And that's the part, right? I think this thing was on a higher level, on a deeper level in that sense, but I think it happens with all teenagers at the end of the day, because contradicting factors dikhne lag jate hain na. Then you have to accept everybody's imperfections also.
Yes, and this is where the bubble breaks, the childhood bubble breaks, ke bhai dunya aisi hi hai, and they start concluding things. So
But the most important part, that people miss is conversation.
Conversation, yes.
इस जगह में अपना बच्चा को समझाना कि I will make mistakes too. I am imperfect as well. पता है कि बड़ा हो कि you only saw me as the perfect version and you want, because I had my dad as someone that I want to become, because he was providing for everybody and everything. ऐसा ही था मेरा life भी. But when I started becoming a teenager and an adult, I saw the cracks that he has as well as a person. And it was very hard for me to accept him as a person, because I always had him as a perfect person. That, this is the goal I want to reach. But now that goal has cracks, holes, खाई वाई सब कुछ, अब ये सब कैसे पार करूंगा?
Exactly, and that is when I think the teenage rebellion also comes in place कि मुझे ऐसा नहीं बनना है.
And then they're so adamant कि ये तो बनना ही नहीं है. But क्या पता आप बन ही जाओ, so that you get
that is what ends up happening. You become exactly the same thing. So I think in that moment when I was able to bring her to that place where she could see her own story and accept her own story, I think that is the point where I felt that no, I was able to deeply see her, and I was able to make make her meet herself at an equal level.
That's amazing.
That is one satisfaction that I.
When you think about love, romantic, familial, or self love, what has changed most in your understanding over the years?
My biggest learning about love has been to let go. It's been about, just because you let somebody go does not mean you don't love them. I could very well love you, but I could say, Devanshi, you're on your own now. This is all I can do for you. I could very well do that. With absolute peace, with no grudges, no hatred, nothing. So the learning of love I want to say is that love does not depend on what I get from you. Love is how I want to show up in your life. And if that is not how you want to see me, if I can't show up in your life as me, I don't have to hate you, but I don't have to be a part of what I'm not. So the biggest learning that I have, this is what I've understood about love. This is what I've learned about love in all these years, that just because I love you, I don't have to lose my identity. Just because I love you, I don't have to show up in your space the way you want it to be. I could very well be, it's something as simple as you going to somebody's place as a guest. You can't say your house is like this, your house is like that, I will not come here. You go there, you adapt to the best level you can. Right? If you're not a religious person, if you go to somebody's house who are completely religious, you don't become completely religious, but then you respect their schedules, you respect their setup, their energies, their environment, and adapt yourself according to that.
To an extent.
To an extent. You adapt. You don't change. You adapt.
You adapt.
Right? So I think that is what love means to me. That is what I've learned love to be. That you adapt. You don't lose. You adapt to a certain extent where it is working out for both of you. Because in the end, if I'm not happy about how I am being respected in your space, would I want to be there? If I'm not happy, can I make you happy? Because I love you, you are supposed to do something for me. That is where the problem arises. That is the story that people get stuck in. And I think with you people also, it's never been about what you people can do for me. I think as far as I know, I have been very verbal and vocal about my expectations from you, which I've tried to keep it as bare minimum, because I'm aware expectation is what creates issues. But then wherever the expectations are, I believe I have been very clear and vocal about it, and I've set the boundaries that way, that this is what I expect out of you and I'm not going to take it anymore, any different. Not because what I want, but because what I want for you, somewhere or the other. But still it's my want, what I want for you also. But yeah, this is what something I would really hope I can teach you about love. What do you think people misunderstand about me as a mother? And what do you think they misunderstand about you as a daughter?
Okay, so one thing about you as a mother, a lot of people think that my mom is careless or is not raising her kids properly, that she's too lenient, or she's not strict, she's not pulling the cords properly or tightly and everything. And I think that's a very big misunderstanding, because she's not like most parents who are constantly nagging or complaining, this, that, and people are used to saying that. So when they see a different parenting style like my mom's, they're always quick to judge usual people. They're like,
which is not familiar, we always end up judging. So
yeah, and they're always like, she's not doing it right, or the kids are going to end up spoiled or bratty, or like that you're making your kids go through unconventional phases which are not required. So I think one of the biggest misunderstanding is that she's not a good mother, or she's a too lenient or a careless one. Me as a daughter, I would say from people's perspective, me as a daughter, they have two things which they misunderstand. One is they underestimate me in a way. Okay, this happened, so I go to my public speaking classes, and there was the first speech that I wrote about teenagers seeking validation. Okay, I wrote it all by myself. I tried to simple it down into smaller bites as much as I could. I sent it to my coach, and my coach is like, I genuinely need to know how much of this has been taken from ChatGPT. And I'm like, hello, come to me, sit with me face to face, and I'll explain my entire concept to you. Okay, and people they're always like, they refuse to believe that this is something that I genuinely want to talk about. It's not something that I've said as a prompt in ChatGPT, give me a difficult topic to talk about that will catch attention. So I think they underestimate me a lot in a lot of skills of mine. One, and two, they sympathize with me a lot. When I'm talking to people and they're like, oh, my parents are divorced, they're like, oh, you poor thing. And I'm like, no, it's not that deep. It's actually a very good thing. I'm happy because I feel like a lot of kids from divorced families always are, of course, they're sad about it. They're like, my mom and dad need to be together, but that's not how it should be. Your mom and dad together are going to create a toxic environment. Okay, if they're separated, they both are still loving you, but in their own ways. They're showing up in their own ways without having that toxic household created. Okay, it's not a rite of passage that your mother and father need to be in the same roof, loving each other and you. So
yeah, that is very important.
Yes.
That as parents, you don't have to love each other.
you have to love the child.
You have to-
But do you feel that a lot of times you don't even get the space to be from a broken family, from a place where, yes, my parents are divorced, I live with my mom. You don't get that space. Do you feel that a lot of times?
No, they're always like, oh, they're all like, okay, if they don't go like, oh, you poor thing, they're like, oh,
You know, right? Why do they do that?
yeah,
I don't
for
understand.
them it's maybe like a taboo thing or something very sad that can happen to a
ये
child.
घर पे वही सिखाया जाता है.
And I feel like it's sad for a lot of divorced kids. It's very depressing and everything, but again, you have to choose to see it that way, that my parents don't need to be together.
It's not so normalized कि हाँ अगर आप नाखुश हो तो आप अलग हो जाओ. It's not normalized. It's like just
Exactly.
end up working together. Make
Exactly.
sure that you are together.
Exactly, and there are kids who are living with parents who should be divorced, but they're not getting a divorce, and that's even worse. They're coming home, they're constantly fighting. Like, imagine how that example of love will set your child up for broken relationships in the future.
In a
Yes.
lot of ways, it is there in so many people that I know today that they don't want to get married because their example of like the example
Yeah.
itself was so bad. Because I think a lot of times it's not for a parent, for parents to separate sometimes is better for the child because it sets an example that sometimes some things don't work out. It doesn't mean
Yeah.
that you don't give it a shot.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when you're actually just staying together and are unhappy, then the only example you're setting that अपना खुशी important नहीं है, किसी और के लिए you have to keep doing.
It's like one parent is giving you some spicy food and the other one is giving you sweet food. If you eat it together, पेट खराब ही होगा ना. Your taste will also ruin. But instead of if you're getting it separately, that first I'll have the ramen and then I'll have the cupcake. That is much
Absolutely.
better.
Yeah, well put.
That's the misunderstanding both of us face.
Yeah, I get that conception of a sad divorced child, and that is the case with many people who come from divorced families. But
I'm not a sad divorced child. I'm a happy divorced child.
yeah, I'm a happy divorced child. When we argue or clash, what do you think is really happening underneath the surface? What are we each protecting?
Well, when we argue, I'm definitely trying to protect my sanity. So when you've made up your mind, it's so difficult to give you a different perspective to change that mindset. But I feel what's happening underneath the surface for me is there's a lot of fear. The moment the argument starts, I start fearing, did I do something wrong as a mother? Did I make a mistake? Did I come across very harsh? Or did I come across as very non-understanding person? There's a lot of self-doubt that comes up. It might take me a while sometimes to come around with some clarity about how to handle the situation. I think which is where I've always told you that don't shy away from arguments. Don't give up on yourself. Argue with me. I might not understand things the first time, but
But I'll
come again.
come around
I
to it.
after I calm down, I'll try to understand it again and come around and come to a place where both of us are happy. Underneath the surface, what I'm trying to really protect over here is I don't want to make you feel insecure that mom is not there. That's the worst place to be when you feel
Yeah.
that mom doesn't understand. it's the worst place to be and I would not want you to be in that place no matter what. Mom always understands. But yes, as human beings, now that you've grown up, you have started having your own opinions, your own thought process and mindset. I'm really trying to protect you from that insecurity. If I stop being your mother for a second and was just a woman sitting across from you, what would you want to tell her?
Hello, how are you?
So very basic.
Let's
clear.
put an assumption there outside itself that you know everything about her life. Now, what would you tell her? One thing that you would like to tell her?
Okay, I would
As a
give her
woman.
a hug and I would say, you got this. You got this. Keep doing what you're doing. You're a great parent and you've come through a long journey. And yes, it's going to be safe now. It's not going to be as hectic, or you won't have to be on constant alert mode. And I hope that you can finally relax and catch some breath for yourself. If there's anything I can do, then I will 100% help.
What scares you most about growing up and what excites you the most? Wow.
It's like I have to do something. I have to make something of myself. I have to get some good
No.
salary or good money in.
No, I never said that.
That's what's
Growing up,
me.
about
Yes,
growing up.
that I have to grow up and make a living. And what excites me the most, yes, that I can spend my living.
The way you want it. You'll be in control of your life.
Not in control of my life. If I want a new dress, I'll get a new dress. If I want to go to a trampoline park, I'll go to a trampoline park.
So she wants the freedom of growing
not-
up, but she doesn't want the responsibility.
Yeah, not
But
not
they come
asking. It's not about not asking, but it's having the freedom to go.
That's what I said. You want the freedom of growing up, but you don't want the responsibilities of growing up. 100% without any exception, every person on this earth is in the same place. Even we as adults are in the same place. We want the luxury and the liberty of being an adult, but we don't want the responsibility of
Not
being
the
an adult. When do you feel most loved by me, not through words, but through energy or small actions?
I think again the same thing, constantly in that bubble. But sometimes I feel more excited, like me and Siddhant were coming from the class today, and I was like, "Oh, Mama's come to pick me up." And although we had to come here, but it still felt nice. She's come to pick me up, and we can sit, and I can tell you all about my class and how it went and everything.
The small efforts.
The small efforts. Even if I go out, if I'm out with my friends, and then as soon as I come home, I'm like, "Mama, pata hai aaj kya hua? This happened, that happened," and we're just sitting and talking. You're listening to me about everything that happened, and intently, and you're actually interested instead of normal parents. They're like,
She got so excited to just share that right now. And it just made me reflect that showing up for a kid of any age, even if the parent is brilliant in the parenting.
Do you ever worry that I've seen too much too soon, or do you think it's made me who I am?
I definitely know that what you have seen has made you who you are. But sometimes I wonder, I won't say I worry, but sometimes I take time out to think and reflect if whatever you have seen, is it building you up or breaking you down? My worry is not what you have seen. My worry is it building you up or is it breaking you down?
How it's affecting me?
How are you taking it? And
Yes.
if I can do something, or if I need to do something to change the narrative and change the trajectory of where it's heading, I'm not worried about what you've seen. Given the situation, I had to make a choice whether I want you to see the path A or whether I want you to see the path B. So I made a choice. I don't want to make you see the path B. I want to make you see the path A.
Yeah.
So I mean, once I was able to create a safe environment for them, she did have this question so many times that, "Mom, I was only an 8-year-old. Mom, I was only a 10-year-old. Mom, I was only this years old." And my only response was, "I feel sorry for what you had to go through. Nobody should deserve to go through this. But then all I can do right now for you is how I can help you overcome it and build up from here." Because what she's saying is right. She was 12. She didn't deserve
You're not
to see
taking
that.
away from her story, but you're also helping her accept the fact that
This is what it is. You can't change it. Now, do you want to let it become a victim story? Or do you want
indirectly तो आप यही बता रहे थे.
So the same thing, either it builds you up, either it breaks you down. What do you want to do?
You can decide if that piece of block will be the one that destroys your entire building or make sure that the building is intact.
Yeah.
It's the blocks are going to be the same, just the way you see them and put them together.
The
is
perspective
what
and
matters.
what story you tell yourself, how you place it.
And I think for this, I think the biggest credit I'll give is to my mom, because when she was born, my mom always said that there are people who take motherhood as a punishment. कि अच्छा मेरा बच्चा सो रहा है, मैं ये नहीं कर सकती, मेरा बच्चा ये कर रहा है, मैं ये नहीं कर सकती. Too much of giving away. My mom said, make the child adapt to your routine. Children are flexible. Let them adapt to your routine. That will make your life easier.
And they'll also understand that.
Exactly. And that is where they also learn to be understanding and adaptive.
Because after children become adults, I think they don't even realize that their parents have sacrificed so much that now it's time they don't sacrifice at all. And that becomes a burden. That becomes कि अब कैसे कर रहे हैं लोग, अब कैसे कर रहे हैं, मेरे को कैसे छोड़ दिया. But that shouldn't happen at the end.
So I think since her childhood, I always had this habit of making her adapt. Not giving up my routine because of her, making her adapt to my routine. So even through all these divorce and everything I was going through, I was told left, right and center, she's a child, you should not tell her all these things. But then I was like, no, she needs to know, because as a child she senses something is wrong. Now if exactly, now if I don't give her the pieces that these are the pieces, what is wrong, she will start creating her own pieces, which I will not know. And if she has connected those pieces wrongly, I will not be able to correct it because I don't know about it. So I'd rather
एक hold तो है, एक understanding
exactly. So I'd rather let her know that this is the devil you are facing, rather than let her imagine what devil.
Let her have the choice of what she needs to do, but not actually narrating कि आपको ये करना है वो करना.
Exactly. And I tried my best not to make that narrative bias. I don't know how successfully I've done that or not, but I have tried to share the problem with her as pieces of information, not as a bias कि मम्मी अच्छी है, पापा बुरे हैं. Not. This is what the situation is.
You decide what's best for you.
You decide what narrative you want to create out of it. I don't want you to be biased towards me. I don't want you to be biased towards anybody.
Give her the choice that, okay, you tell what you need to do here rather than...
I think her family, there are hardships or difficulties, and I think if as your child starts growing up, you need to tell the child, because let's say, if you have something like finance tumhara acha nahi, and if you don't tell your child that finance, the kid will go like, I want this, I want cake, I want to buy this, why can't we buy this? And if you're not telling your child, then wo kharcha karta rahega. And agar jo child ko bhanak lag gayi कि there's something wrong, then he'll be on constant alert mode कि पैर टूट गया इसका, ये हो गया, वो हो गया, वो ये हो सकता है, वो हो सकता है. So half information is more dangerous. So
exactly.
So the child,
I didn't want them to have half information.
कुछ normal भी होगा तो अभी it will start overthinking कि इसमें problem है, इसमें कुछ गड़बड़ है, this that. So I think it can be difficult telling your child that there can be dysfunctions in the family, but you'll have to handle it as such. It's better you tell them.
उस जगह में हाथ पकड़ना भी थोड़ा देर के लिए ज़रूरी हो जाता है, the support system. But वही है ना कि आप कैसे सोचते हो. Even if, for example, this didn't work out, this might have not been the case here, and she's a very disruptive person, for example, and she becomes that way. I believe that you still wouldn't have actually felt guilty about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't have. So before we shifted to Guwahati, she had become a very disruptive person. She was going on a destructive path. But even in that situation, I didn't take the guilt, because deep down I knew that I have put my best foot forward in every moment. There is no stone that I have left unturned where I can blame myself, where I can play the guess game or I can play the regret game. I don't have it. So this is something at a very early age, at a very younger age, even younger than her maybe, I had decided, I promised myself that I'm going to live a life where I don't have any regrets. अच्छा हो बुरा हो जो भी है,
saying it and doing it is two different things, and you have done.
I have lived my life that way. People, even she tells me so many times that you wasted your life doing this and that, or why did you make this decision, why did you make this choice, why did you take this decision, how could you with this. I always tell her that it is what it is. In that moment this seemed the right decision and I took it and lived by it, and in a later moment something else, life turned and different decision had to be taken, I took it. I adapted to my life. But then today also I'm happy to say that there's nothing in my life that I regret. Since you're talking about guilt, I just really wanted to share this. Guilt is not something you take as an adult only. I was working with her and she was going through something and I was helping her reflect, introspect and find the root cause. And what she came up with was that, mom, in some past moment, dad had an unacceptable behavior and I took the blame. I started feeling guilty that I did not do anything to
I remember
protect
this
you.
conversation. Yeah.
She said, I feel guilty of not being able to protect you, and that is why I'm behaving or whatever I'm going through and all. And that is where I had to rewrite the story that, sweetheart, you were a child. You were not supposed to take care of me. I'm the mother. I was supposed to take care of you. So forgive yourself first. So the guilt is something, whether somebody teaches you or not, the human nature is such that it starts building up from a very early age. The moment they feel any association with any person, guilt becomes a package with it. And people need to learn to identify where they're carrying the guilt. And I think after she was able to realize that and let go of that guilt, I could see a lot of shift in her in how she was taking decisions and how she was responding to me. Because that is where she realized she not only did the let go of the guilt, but then she also accepted the fact that she is not supposed to protect mama. The river flows up.
If we were to write a book together, what would the title be and the first line be?
But it's
Zindagi
a-
na milegi dobara.
Nice. And the first line?
The first line will be, and so she thought.
That's good. That's so good. And so, that's nice.
Zindagi na milegi dobara, and so she thought. Complete this sentence. No matter how life shifts, I hope you always know that.
I love you.
Oh, Siddharth! Record this! Record this!
I don't like to say this often to people in general, but yes, I would always want you to know that. Okay, I might say it in a very rare instance, but yes, I have your back. I got you.
So sweet.
No, not much. Good. I'm satisfied with myself.
I'm satisfied with myself as well. It was amazing. It was beautiful. The way you've brought out the questions, it was very beautifully designed, very thoughtfully created. I know because of the length it got extended, we had to skip a few questions, but still it does feel. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I had the questions
we're
on the
going to
phone.
use those questions as a worksheet when we go home.
Good activity.
Active, yeah.
Yes.
But no, it was indeed very thoughtfully and very nicely designed. And at least I feel satisfied that at least now through this podcast, at least even if whatever number of viewers see the podcast, at least they get an idea that there is. Because I don't want parents to take the burden of parenthood. I've told them also very clearly, see, when children are born, they're not born with a manual how to raise them up. So parents have to stop taking the pressure of being the perfect parent.
And making sure that the child leads a perfect life.
There's no perfect life. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm happy that you are taking the initiative to put this conversation out there to people at large and letting parents and kids both know that the life does not have to be what you have thought it to be so far. It can be so much more different than what you think and believe it to be. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
This conversation doesn't end here. Hi, I'm Samarth, and I just want to take a moment to say thank you. Thank you to every parent, every teen, and everyone who chose to show up honestly and speak from a real place this year. Between Brackets has been a journey of listening, learning, and unlearning, and trying to understand each other a little better.
Every conversation mattered, and every voice added something important to this space. And next year, we bring everyone back to the table for something special. Stay with us, that's more to come.